All right, so good morning once again, everyone. Uh, this was the project we started working on last time, and we are still talking about HTML tags, which I told us that they are mainly used for creating web contents and for structuring our web pages. So far so good. We have learned how to use not less than 3 different tags, starting from the heading tags to create headings, uh, the paragraph tag to create contents for the headings, the image tag to add images to our web pages. So these are the tags we have treated so far. So this morning, we are adding more tags. We are adding more tags, and then we're going to also do some CSS styling. Second. So we are still on HTML tags mastery. So we are still on HTML tags mastery. Now we are adding some tags. We are adding some tags today. So we are bringing in anchor tag. We are bringing in, okay, let's start with the anchor tag since we are behind the time. Let me try and see if I can complete it first. If there's need, I will introduce another one. So what do we mean by anchor tag? Anchor tag is one of the major tag that it is a must-use tag when developing website, basically for connecting pages or contents within your website. You will never come across any website without using anchor tag. Like I said, it is a must-use tag. If you visit websites, there's what we call link. When you click on About Us, it takes you to a different content. When you click on Service, it takes you to another content. And then when you click on, let's say, Gallery, that takes you to another content. So what is happening there is the anchor tag linking one page to another. So we are starting with that. So let's look at the front end of what we have developed so far. Now, looking at this, um, this is our index page. And then if we go to our code development environment, you will notice that we have two files here. We have one file which is saved with about.html. We have another one which is saved with index.html. Now, this one that is saved as index.html, it's the landing page. Remember, I told us about what a landing page is. A landing page is the very first page that your user gets to once they launch your website on a browser. Now, once they land in that page, there should be other navigation link that can take them from that landing page to other sub pages within your website. So for you to be able to create this connection, you need the anchor tag. So which means that when somebody is in my index page, just like we are here, I want this place that I have welcome to my page to be a link. In other words, I would like it to be a clickable text. I can also make a picture, a clickable image in a way that when they click on it, it redirects them to a different content or a different interface. So that is the idea of what this tag we are focusing on today is designed to achieve. So if I go back to let me add some content to the About Us page so that when the link in our home page redirect us by clicking on a button to this, we will be able to see some content that will confirm that we have actually moved from the initial environment to a different environment. So let me just add an image. Just add in an image. Just add an image. Actually, let's have something in the About Us page. And then let's have maybe P tag here. Let's say welcome to my About Us. Okay, let's say welcome to Digital Z. Digital Z Hub. Welcome to Digital Z Hub. So at least we have some content. Now, right from here, this particular text, we want to remove it. We don't need it. I think I was only using it to explain something the other time. So I'll take it off from here. Then under it, let me use comment. So using comment, I'll simply say creating link. So the anchor tag is actually for creating link. So we need to get that point right. Because at this point, I want to create a link that will connect the users from this home page, which is the landing page, to the About Us page, where I have some different content for them. Now, with the anchor tag, so it is denoted with A in the angle bracket. So the A stands for anchor, which means what? To connect. Now, the syntax, how do we declare it? You simply type A, and then once you type A, it will come with a default attribute, which is href. There are other attributes we are going to add, but for now, we work with the default, which is href. Now, this href specifies the destination, the location, the targeted destination. When the user click on the text that will be typed there, where would they be taken to? Now, in this case, we want the users to be redirected to About Us page. So I am going to next the About Us page URL, the address of that page is what I will put inside here. So I'll simply type AB. It will output the name of that page. So that is what you will use as the targeted location. Now, if you open it on your browser, you are not going to see anything yet because you have not added your link description. Every link you are creating is expected to have a description. A description is what the user sees to know that, okay, if I click here, this is a possible location I will be taken to. So between the opening section of the anchor tag and the closing section of that same anchor tag, you write your description. So our description here could be click to go to about us page, or I can just put about us. Now, let's go to the front end and see if it will be visible. Now, you can see it is visible, but there's a challenge. We want to make this link to come under here, not to display as inline with the images. Remember, in our last class, I explained the difference between inline elements and block elements when building website. Just to recap, I said the inline elements, they are elements that by default, they are meant to display on the same line in as much there is available space. But where they could not find extra space after the previous element, they will now behave like a block element, which means block elements will always take a new line, irrespective of where they are written. Now, anchor tag is an example of inline. That is the reason why it found space after the last image. So instead of coming there, it decided to occupy that space. So I am going to redirect it by enveloping it in a block element. Just that. There are two ways we can actually achieve making an inline element to behave or to act or to display like a block element. Is either I break it, which means that I will just come between where I have the last element and the new one, I will insert a break. So here I have to put break here. So this method is not the best method, but most time it's used. Now, what this BR stand for, this is another tag you are getting to know now. What this BR stand for is break, which is equivalent to you pressing enter. So even if you come here and press enter like this, in coding, it doesn't break that way until you add this particular tag. Now, if I go back to the front end, you will discover that what I have been able to return it from here to immediately what after the line holding the two images. So what I've done now is that an element that ought to behave like an inline element, because I added that break, I have automatically converted it to a block element. So that is one way you can achieve that. Now, another way I can achieve that if I remove this break is to wrap the whole of this in a block element so that it will now exhibit the character of a block element which starts in a new line. So I'll look for one of those block elements. I'll look for one of those block elements. For example, I will just come here. I will just come here and say, I've not used H5, I've used P. Okay, I can class. I will just say P. Now, P is a block element. So I'll cut this. It's either I cut this and put it inside, or I cut the closing section of the P and bring it after the closing section of the anchor tag. So what I have done now is that I have wrapped the anchor tag inside a block element called P tag. Now, if you go back to the page now, you see that what I've also achieved this. So it's either you use the break method or you wrap that inline element in a block element. Any question, please? All right, so that is for the anchor tag. Now, let's quickly do some styling. Let's do some CSS because it's not really looking presentable and readable. So this link or clickable text is not user-friendly. So we need to do some enhancements. We need to improve the appearance. Now, to improve the appearance, I would like it to be, if this is the end of the page, so I'll have to consider whether I'm to allow it to be here or to bring it to the center of this. Well, let's allow it to be here. Now, if I want to style it, we have to also class it. So we are classing both the container because at some point, I will be talking to it with its parent element. At some point, I will be talking to it directly. Now, what do I mean by parent element? The anchor tag is inside P tag. So the P tag is the parent, is the holder. So in CSS, you can actually talk to a child element with the parent element, or depending on the structure, or you can talk to the child directly. So to avoid conflict, I will simply class the parent element. So I will just say what? Anchor. I will just say what? Anchor. Or let me just say a link. A link, that is the class name. Now, the anchor tag is set because there might be other anchor tag as we proceed, so that once I call them, they will not have the same appearance. So I will also class it. I will also class it, and then I will class this one. I think, let me call it what? A1. So I'm supposed to class this one as what? A container. A container, so that it will make sense. A container. Good. Now, from my CSS file, for me to select this element, I will say a container space A. That is another way. If I don't want to even bother myself classing this, I can distinguish it from other using the parent element. So we call that CSS selector. Now, what I'm going to do is to go to my CSS page. I believe I must have connected this file here. Then go to my CSS file. So from my CSS file, I'll use comment to also explain what I'm doing here. So what I'm doing here is styling the anchor tag, the A tag, styling the anchor tag. So what I will do here is to call the class name of the container, which is what? A dot. Remember that when you are selecting a class element, I told us that you have to start with the dots. So dot A container. So I'm using the parent element now to reference it. Dot A container. Then I will space, and then I'll say what? A. Then before I open my CSS declaration block. So what this actually stands for is that you are using the parent and child element to reference it. Parent and child element to reference it. So what you are saying is that if we have order A, order anchor tag, the one you are talking to is the A that is inside this what? Container, this element. But if you come here and just call A, if you have like 10 different anchor tag in that page, they will all be styled. So here now I have selected this anchor tag through its parent name. So the CSS understand the child I am talking to. Now I'll start with color. So I want to start with color. So checking order color, order item color. I think if I give this color, this blue will complement this, or this red will complement this. So you have to make sure that you consider your color combination. Like I told us, when you are designing user interface, color is a priority. You must watch out the way you are combining them, because that will amount to giving the user good experience that will encourage them to keep visiting your website. So let me use blue and see how blue will combine other blue that we have used. So let me go back to the front end and check. Okay, I think this is good. Now, the next thing I want to do is to remove this underline. This underline usually comes by default with anchor tag. So you need to remove it. It is called text decoration. It is called text decoration. So how do I remove it? I will simply call the text decoration property, and then I will say what? I don't want it by specifying none. So I will say text decoration. So instead of me, I can actually change it. So before we go for the none, let me also show us other decoration you can use. You can say overline. What we have there is underline. So if I say overline and I come here, you see that what? The line goes up. So at times somebody might want that design on his or her anchor tag. So, but what we need right now to make the website look very simple, your website should always look very simple. Now, I will say I don't want that. I will just put what? None. So once I add none and I go back to my page, you will see that what? It automatically takes off the what? The line. Now, I still want to make this anchor tag look more professional. So I would like to give it a background color red. In other words, the red will complement this red, while the text color will remain the blue. And I want it to look like a box button like this instead of just text. It is not as if I cannot leave it this way, but I'm using all this to expose us to different CSS property. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is to give it background. I'll give it background. So background color, like I said, I would like the background color to be red in order to complement other colors. So as you are adding, be checking. Now I've added background color now, but there is something I notice. I've added background color. So the next thing I'm going to do is to width and height it. I'll width it. So I want it to be, let's say 150 pixel. And then the height should be like 40. The height should be like 40 ps. Now, as you are adding this CSS, you check. Now, you are not seeing the impact of the height and the width yet, because we have to define the internal space between the content. Click to go to About Us page. The space between the letters and the boundary around it is called padding. In CSS, called padding. So we actually have two types of spaces to deal with. when you are dealing with a box model element. Now, almost 99% of HTML tags, they are box model. What do I mean by box model? Now, when you create them, always know that they are inside boxes. That is why we are calling them box model. If I ask us now, this about Digital Z that was created with heading tag, is it a box model or not? The answer is yes. If we activate the borderline now, you will now notice that what they are actually wrapped inside what boxes or the element. It's because we decided not to activate the boxes. So now when you are dealing with box elements, when you are dealing with box elements, let me illustrate this for us. What I'm saying is that every element you create, they are placed inside boxes. You should always know. So when you call the anchor tag is inside a box like this. Is inside a box like this. Now, we have space. The space between this element and this box and this element on the outside, it is called margin space. So in other words, this box has how many margin space? Top margin space, right margin space, bottom margin space, and then left margin space. The space between one element and the other from the outside is called margin space. Like here now, this image, this space is the margin space. Now, the space between the contents in the box and the borderline surrounding it, they are called padding. Now, the reason why the width I added did not show up because I have not assigned my padding. I have not assigned my padding. So I will simply go back to the anchor tag and say padding. So the padding also has 4 side value. It's either padding left or padding right or padding top or padding bottom. So you have to choose which of them you want to actually use. But in this case, I want equal padding round. So what I'm going to do, I will just stay on padding. I will not say padding left. Now, I can still use padding like this without saying padding left, padding right, and still achieve the whole side by using my value. So if I say 12 PS now, it means that I am saying that all the sides should be equal. So you can see what happened to that button now. So you now see that we now have space. We now have space, reasonable space between the content and the borderline around it, just because I added padding 12. Now, each time you say padding 12, it means you are saying that what? From the height of this text here to this place is 12. From here to this place is 12. From here is another 12. From here is another 12. You can see how that position the text at the middle and give us what? Those spaces. Now, if I want here, because this is a rectangle, being a rectangle, opposite side are equal. So I can use a logic to assign my padding, whereby I will say that if I put 10 for the left, that 10 should also be for the right. If I put 12 for the top, that top should also be for the bottom. So instead of me just saying 12, so I will now add another one, let's say what, 10 PS. So you just space, you don't need to put comma. So what we have said now is that top is 12 PS, 12 and bottom, they are 12 PS. Then left and right, 10 PS. That is what you have just applied. So when you click here now, you can see that the space I'm having here now is now more than the space we are having here. But the space we are having here is equal to this space. So that is the top. This is the top. This is the top. Then this is the left. This is the right. So the next thing I'm going to do I can now see that using this text color, blue, will not go. So I have to use white. I have to use white color. I think white color will be better. White color will be better. So I have to change the text color to white. So how do I change it? I will just simply go back to my CSS and simply say color, color, white, color, white, color, white. Then if I go back to my page, you see that what? The white text color is better. Now, I still want to increase the write-up size, because if you look at the write-up size, comparing it with this, is a bit smaller. So I'll go there and say font size. So like I said, the idea is to expose us to this CSS property. Font size, let me choose to use 20 PS. So let's check the appearance of it. Good. Now, if you click on this text now, it will take us to the About Us page. You can see. So we have been able to link from the home page or the landing page to About Us page. So when they visit our website, from here, they can target the About Us page. Now, because we are still learning the tags individually, that is the reason why we are creating the link here. Once we have covered 80% of the tag, we will now start building the real website. Then all this link will be here, and then they will be called navigation bar link. You will see home here, you see about here, you see other pages link here, not putting them here. But the reason why I'm displaying it here, because we are learning the tags individually, so that once we start combining them to build a real standard website, we must have known their individual functions. So I'm just wondering, I thought we have gone beyond this. Okay, good. Now, I still want to do something to remember that we are concerned with the user experience of this site. So we have to do everything possible to make sure that we give them good experience. So to make sure that we make them to want to visit the website again. So if there's any updates, they can get it. So we don't have to discourage them with our design as a developer. So I want to add border radius. You see the way we have this curve here. The way we have this curve here. So I want to add it to this. So I'll simply go there and use that same property called what? Border radius. Border radius. So once I click on it, I'll just give it a radius of 12 PS. A radius of 12 PS. So let's check. Good. So it look more. It is not compulsory, but like I said, I'm using all this to expose us to this CSS property. Now, supposing I actually want to move the whole of this to the center here, if that is going to be the best presentation, or we leave it like this. Now, the next thing I want to show us about the anchor tag is hover effect. There is what we call hover effect, which is a way of making it dynamic. You are making it look very interesting in such a way that when somebody visits your site and touch the anchor tag, not touch the link, not clicking, as I'm touching it now, I'm leaving it now. Once I touch it, it will inverse. That is, by default, when they log into the page, this is going to be the appearance as the link actual appearance. So the link actual appearance at the moment is that the background color is red, the text color is white. Now, I want to create an hover effect, which means that another appearance, but that appearance will only be triggered when the user perform an action. So they are not going to get it by default. So once they visit the page, if they want to get it, they have to touch the link, not clicking. So once they touch it like this, I would like the current red background to switch to black. And then the text to switch to something like this color. That could be gold or maintain the same white. So when you are adding hover effect, always make sure that the hover appearance is different from the actual appearance. That is the only way the user will see different thing. Now, and there is a syntax. So I will just come here. You cannot add the hover effect in the same CSS selector where you are styling the actual appearance of the object. So what you are going to do is to come outside, and then let me use comment to explain it. That is adding hover effect to the A tag. So the syntax is that you call that container again. So let me just copy it here. You call the selector. Let me just copy the selector. You call it like this. Then this time around, you now add column to that A, and then you now say hover. After that, before you bring in your CSS declaration block, then you expand it. So you can see that the syntax is different. Look at the selector syntax for styling the actual appearance, what they are going to see when they get to the page. And then if you look at this one, we added this column. So that is the syntax. It is not a anchor tag. We can also add over effect to our images and other elements. So, but just take note of the syntax. The element you are talking to direct, you must attach the what, the column, and what, the hover to it. So now after that, you now begin to declare your appearance. So now I will take this one from here again, just to save my time. I want to reuse that property, so I will just copy it, Control V. Sorry, I mistakenly pressed copy again. So Control C, and then come in here, Control V. Then what I will do is that I will just delete this and type black there. Type black. Now, when they hover on the text, that anchor tag, the background will switch from red to black. That's what we are saying. Now, when they hover on it, I want the text color to change. So let me take this one from here. I don't want to start by typing it. I want the text color to change to probably when it's black, it should give me what? Blue. At least that blue will complement one of the used color. When they hover on it, I want font style, which was not given to the actual styling. Font style should be italic. So the text should what? Slant. So let's just see how these ones work so you can continue to develop it. If I go back to my front end now, if I click here now, can you see it? Hover effect. And then once I leave it, it goes back to what? To the red background. I hover on it. So this is how you are making your website look dynamic and interactive, or making it like look more, professional to the user. So things like this can entice them. Things like this can motivate them to want to come to your website because they are well entertained. So that is the idea of all these dynamic things you are incorporating as you are designing. And you can see that I'm also conscious of the color. So when they are seeing it like this, the black is a primary color, and the blue is the blue we have also used the header. So any questions so far? Any question?
No questions, sir.
Let me hear from others too. Please, you can unmute and respond. Hope we are following.
Yes, sir.
All right. So Okay, Flourish, hope you are with us.
Yes, sir.
All right. So now, the next thing I plan to teach us is, now here, you link only text. And when you click on this, it takes us to what? About us page. Now, I want to teach us how to link image, how to make image a clickable object, just like the way we were able to create a text to be a clickable text. So what I'm going to do is that I will teach us how to link the image from the About Us page, which means that when they are in the About Us page, there should also be a link that when they click, it brings them to what index page as well. So which means that each of the file have link connecting both of them. So what I'm going to do, this is the image. Remember what we are learning here is how to link images. You can actually use an image as your link, that is as a connection from one environment to another environment. So to link image, all you need to do is to wrap the image in an anchor tag, envelope it. So an anchor tag becomes the container. So what I'm going to do here is to call the anchor tag, and then I will take this closing section. I will right click on it and cut it, and then come after the image and then paste it. So which means that what? The anchor tag is now a container holding the image tag. So let me structure the code like this. Now, when they click on this image, where are they going to be prompted to? That is what? The URL of the page you want to target. So I will go in here and also say what? Slash. And then go to the index. So with this, you have connected this image. In other words, when the user click on this image, it takes them to what? To this page. Then you can decide to put your alternative text if you want. In case the image could not display what should be there, I can just say should say what? Image, which I've explained before now. Now, if we go back to our page now, let's run it. Let me open from here. Let me open from here. So this is our index page. So when they click here, it takes them to what? To this. And then you can see when they click on this picture, it brings them back to the page. So what we have done now is that we have been able to connect two pages together using the anchor tag. Now, but there is something I want to show us about the anchor tag before I allow us to start doing the class demo. Now, there are what we call attribute, anchor tag attributes, which is very important, we know. Anchor tag attributes, they provide additional information on how the tags react. Now, let me go back to the front end and show us something. I want us to look at the number of tabs that we have opened. Right now, we have opened only one tab. Welcome to DigiTech Hub. Now, if I click here now, I'm not going to see this interface again. Instead, it will now be replaced with the targeted destination. Look at it. So you can see that what? The other URL has gone. Sorry, the other interface has gone. But I don't want that situation. I want in a situation whereby if I click on this link, I still want to have this, let this link open in a new tab like this and still allow me to be seeing it so I can switch from one to another. Now, I don't want the users to be doing something like this, right clicking and selecting open in a new tab before it will open like this so that I can maintain this. I want it in a way that just clicking on it, it should open in a new tab. So how do we achieve that? We can achieve that by introducing target attribute inside the anchor tag. So I'll come to where the last attribute was used and space and say what? Target. So once you type target, it brings out what? The target. Now, inside the target, there are, Mr. Austin, please work on your audio. Inside the target, there are 4 values that are usable. But out of these 4 values, these 4 values react differently across different browsers. But the ones that works across all browsers the same way is the blank. And the blank is what we need. What we are saying is that when the user click on this link, it should open in a blank tab. That's what we are saying. So if I add this now and then go back to the front end now, remember what I just showed us now. Now, if I click here now, watch out, we are still going to be having this. Then it will open the About Us page, which we are targeting in a new tab. So let's click now. You see it? So initially, before, if I click, it will take off this and use this same tab space to display the new environment. But now, because I've added target blank, when they click now, it will be opening what? A new tab with and retain the old one because you can switch from one to another. So you can choose to use the blank. And then if I go back, let's try another one. Let's say I want to use underscore parent because that was one of the the target attribute that came. If I use parent, let's see the reaction of parent. If I refresh here, I click here, look at it. So parent is still displaying in the same word file. So that is why I said the one that is more applicable is the word, the blank. So we have been able to learn one thing now, which is just one tag, anchor tag, and how to make it look like a professional button, how to add over effect to it. So there was one more thing I want to teach us, which is part of this class plan, is the body tag styling. So once I'm done with that, then I'll give us time for interaction. Now, what is the body tag? The whole of this that you have created is referred to as HTML document. So HTML document is the collection of the tags and their content. All the tags and the content we have built so far is this. So the whole of this is referred to as HTML document. Now, we need to know that all these are created inside one tag called body. All these are created inside one tag called body. Look at it. All these, they are inside it. So now, because it came as default, so we must not neglect it. So we need to talk about it. So the body tag envelop all the content that are displayed within your browser body. So this is your browser title. We all know how we got here. Everything you have developed in your browser body, they are properties of the body tag. Now, which means that if I want to change this background color that is currently white to a color, let's say a black color, so that all this can be focused, then which of the tag is responsible for the background color changing? That is the body tag. So we have already created it. So what I want to teach us now is how to style it. So that will now take us to how to change your document background color. So when the user visits this website, I don't want them to be seeing this background. I may have an image like this that I want them to see as the background of this page, or I change it to a solid color, or even gradient color. So how do we go about that? Is very simple. So I'll go to my CSS. Remember, you cannot have two bodies in one HTML document. The whole of this file, there is no other place where I'm going to use this body tag. We can only have one body tag. So as a result of that, there is no need of you classing it, because the idea of classing is involved because you may likely use that tag again. So since we know that is the only one that we can have, so I will just go straight to my CSS and say what? Styling. I'll say styling the HTML document. Styling the HTML document, background color or background. So I will just call the body. I don't have to do dot because it's not a class element. Then I will say background color, that same property we have used. Background color, then I'll simply say what? Black. Then if I go back to my front end, you can see that what? I have been able to change the what? The background to black. And then the question now is that, are the content now more visible now that it's black color? The website look, cooler. You can see the way it is. Everything is cool. And now you have an opportunity to focus on the write-up, the content. So it's a choice. It's a choice. So are we following? Are we following?
Yes.
Okay. Now, let me comment this. Let's assume that I want to give that background two different color. So I'll say background property. So inside this background, I will say linear gradients. I'll say linear gradient is a function that will allow us to give the background two or more color. So inside the linear gradient, I will say ROGB, ROGB, ROGBA, which means red, green, blue, alpha. Alpha is for transparency. It is a function we use in calculating color. So I will say the value of red. If I want red mixture, I will say the value of red should be 255, comma, the value of green should be 0. That is, I don't want green. Then the value of B should also be 0. Then the alpha, that's going to produce what? Complete red. Then the alpha value will be, let's say, 0.3, just to reduce that red. Then I will come outside. I'm still inside the linear gradient function. I'll come outside here and put a comma. And then I will start again, arrow GBA, to define the next color. So I want to blend this red with blue or with black. So I will now say, where I have black now is, I will make red value here 0. I don't want red, Then the black, red, green. Green is also what? 0. I don't want green. Then, so I will use 0 throughout. 0, 0, 0. Now, when you use 0, 0, it will give you black. When you use 0, 0, you will have black. Now, the alpha value, in order to blend it a little bit, blend the black in the red, the alpha value should maintain the same 0.3. So if I go to the page now, you see what we have now. You can see the blending here. So this is not just one color now. So that is the code whenever you want to blend. Now, you can shuffle this depending on the value calculation, this value. So if I increase this, or I decide that that one should not blend, let's check again. You see what we have now? So you can see that the more you manipulate this value, the different background color you get. So instead of 0.1, 0.3 that we have, so I want to have 0.8. So you can see that what? It increases the red value. So if I go here now, you see that what I have more of the red. So that more of the red will not make it not to make my content not to be visible. So I'll make it what? 0.2. So I just want to show that what? The more you manipulate the value, the different color you get. So this is how you can actually style your document background with different color. That is more than one color. Now, the last one was not the least for today class. I am commenting them in case you are writing them, you can access. Now, what I actually want, which is going to be the last thing for today, is I want to use a very good image that speaks my service as my page background. I don't want to use all those blue or those red. I want an image that when they are seeing that image, the image is speaking what I do. Like now. So I'll go to browser and download an attractive image that can speak my business. So let me go to the Google again. We are almost through. Okay, so from here, now remember that the site we are building is about restaurants. So I'll say, what will I use as a search word now? I'll say restaurants, restaurant. Let me just see if I can have something like a background. Okay, so let's see if we can choose. I'll go to image and see if I can get a better one that will speak well. Okay, let's say I want to use this. But remember, any one you are using, make sure that it does not overshadow the write-up. So I will use this. I love this one. So I hope somebody long throat is not catching that one. So let me go to my folder. Remember, we created an image. I think we are working from web something here. Then go here and save it as BG4. Save it as BG4. Now, there is something that we usually do if you're a graphic designer. You just take it to CorelDRAW Photoshop and overlay it, make it look transparent before you bring it to use it as a background. So let me just quickly, please just bear with me. You watch the video because I feel you should know this. You see what I want to do now. There are some things you can help yourself on Photoshop or CorelDRAW when you are developing your site. What I want to do now is that this image, I want them to be seeing it, not to be sharp like this. I want to be transparent as a background so that it will not in any way disrupt the content on the page. That is what I'm about to do now. Because if I bring in that picture here as a background now, it will display here well. But this session, this test, the level of brightness it carries, it might overshadow this test. So what I want to do now is to go to Photoshop and give it some opacity. In other words, to reduce the light, to dim it, so that once I bring it here, it will look very cool as a background. So let me wait for Photoshop to open. So Photoshop has opened. So what I will do is I will just click here, go to, let me just open which one will I use now? Let me just create a new file and call that picture inside. So if you have Photoshop installed in your laptop, you can try it. So I will just pick this and click on create. I just need this to work on that picture so that you know that there are some effects you see in some sites. It means that the developer is also a graphic designer. So he can as well go to those places and do some things. Now I want to call in that picture here so that I can reduce that opacity. So I'll go to open. Then, so instead of me, since I've created the file, I will not use open. I will select place embedded because I want to embed the image on this already made working environment. I'll go to desktop, target the folder where I kept that picture, go to image, then this is the picture. So I'll call it here. Now this is the picture. Now what I want to do is this. So I will simply create a rectangle here to cover this because I'm looking at black background. So this will overlay that image. Now, what I am going to do, since it's overlaying the image, I will just come to this place where you have opacity. It's showing me 100%. So I'll click here and reduce it. Just watch what will be happening on the image. Can you see what I've done? Now, this is how I want them to see the background. I don't want it to be smart like this. So I will reduce it like this. Reduce it, reduce it, reduce it, reduce it, reduce it. This is how I want it to be. So now I will have to export this as an image. So I will come back here, select export, then select export as. So I will use it to replace or create another copy there. So you cannot see the benefit of being vast in computer because the application of one area that you know will help you to, to enhance your work, to make your work more professional. You can see the way we are viewing this image now. It's not bright again. Now I will export it as a JPEG. I will change it from that PNG. Then I'll click on what? Export all. Then I will target that same our folder, which is that web dev, open it, go to the image tag, then I will just select this and change the name to 5 so that I will still have that original one. Then I click on save. So the picture will automatically export there. Now let's leave Photoshop. Now let's go to our coding page. So from our coding page here, to use an image as your background, you are going to use a different CSS property, which is background image, not background color again, background image. Now, the image you want to use is an external object. It's coming from somewhere. It's not built in the IDE. So you have to reference. So in order to reference the image from where you store the image, you have to add URL. Why you are adding this URL? Because you are referencing an external what object, an object that is not built in. When we were using ordinary color, we call the black from the program, from the IDE, because black is already what? Programmed there. Now, the same way, just put slash inside. It will call out all your directory elements. You go to the image tag, then you target what? That image 5. Now, if I go to the page now, guess what happened? Can you see the way my website is cool? They are filling the background. Good. Now, there are times that the background might repeat itself. In fact, it's repeating itself if you look carefully. If you look where I am touching now, you can see that what? This is where one started. This is where another one started. So there's a break there. Just because what? The image is not big enough to cover the page. So what what HTML did or what the browser did is to duplicate it to ensure that It fills the entire what page. But that can be a style that you want to adopt. What about if that is not how you want it? You just want a single image to cover the entire background. What you simply do is for you to go back to your CSS, leave that property, call another property called what? Background repeat. So by default, it's programmed on repeat where the size could not fill the page. Then you will now say what? No repeat. Now, once you say no repeat, let's check the front end. You can see that what? As soon as I say no repeat, you can see that it's not covering the entire page again. So that is another challenge. So how do I make it to cover the entire page? So I'll go back to my CSS and say background size. So for background size, I will say what? Cover. So if I go back to my front end, you see that what? It will stretch it and make sure that what is fill the entire environment. Now, there could be another challenge. Maybe the most important part of that picture is not showing, is inside. So how do you bring it to the center so that you can see maybe that particular part you are looking for? But as it stands now, I may like it like this. So if I want to bring it in, what I will do is to bring in background position. Then I will say what? Center. I will say center. I will say center. So once I click now, let's check whether there will be an adjustment. Good, there is an adjustment. Before you were not seeing this table the way you are seeing it. You were not seeing this part. You were seeing only part of this side. So you can see that now the image is better positioned. So one more thing before I end the class. If I add another object, I promise you, I will not see that one. Let's go back to our HTML and add another image. Let's say that particular image that we got now, we want to use it as one of the display image. So I will just say what? IMG, and then reference it. That was background this. I will just say, I will just do width here directly from here. I don't want to bother CSS for it. I'll just say width, give me 500 PS. Then height, give me 500 PS also. Let it be a square image. Now, if I go back to my page now, quickly, if I go back to my page, you see that now I'm able to what? To scroll. Oh, I will have called no, I have to call the other one, the one we save with 4, so that it will not, because it's calling the one we use for the background. Okay, so the URL is not correct. So let me call it, the configuration is not the same. So let me call it again. Take your time to go through the video. This is very simple to apply. Okay, so now once as I add this, what I want is that I want the page to be scrollable. You can see that as I'm scrolling the page, both the background is scrolling alongside with our components. I don't want it that way. It's not professional. I want it in a way that all this content should be sliding on the background. The background should remain fixed while other content will scroll. So how to do that as the final task for this class? I will update my body styling. I will say background attachment. So remember, the idea is that I am trying to familiarize us with these CSS properties so that you know what they are used for. That position that we did the other time, if you want to position only on the horizontal axis, you use here. So now I click here. Now background attachment, I will say fixed, don't move, remain static. So let's go back there and scroll. As I'm scrolling, what do you notice? Only the content that are scrolling, the background remain fixed, because I don't want them to be, I want them to be seeing all these activities happening at the background. So this is where we draw the curtain before we switch to the practical aspects, or if you want to take it as an assignment before the next class, every one of you is expected to have designed the same thing that I've done. So in the next class, I'll be asking you one after the other to preview your work. And this is what I want to see. It may not be about it, but I want to see where you apply all the CSS. Any question, please? Questions?
No question, sir.
Okay, so please, there's a favor I want you guys to be doing for me. I will send this link to you. I just want to drive traffic on on our website. So if you go to this website address,